Was it a one-off year for Air Force in 2024? Can they get back to the top of the Mountain West, compete against Army and Navy? Surely Coach Calhoun in his 19th season, that's no issue. Air Force is aiming to bounce back after a challenging 2024 season and return to the top of the Mountain West. Coach Troy Calhoun leads a team returning 6 offensive starters, including senior fullback Dylan Parsons. Josh Johnson will take over at quarterback following the dismissal of Quinton Hayes this spring. Air Force is coming off a rather disappointing 5-7 season, including a 7-game losing skid. They did finish out the season strong, taking out Fresno State, a blowout at Oregon State, Nevada, and finishing out the year against San Diego State, 31-20. The offensive line welcomes back 3 starters, including center Costin Cooley, who was an honorable mention at the All-Mountain West. Although Air Force only allowed 188 passing yards per game last season, all their starting corners are gone. Safeties Kyle Chen and Houston Hendricks have the inside track, with Corey Johnson and Evan Rowe in the mix. Going into mid-November last year, Air Force seemed like a team that was never going to figure it out, but they found a way to win against Fresno State and then had a blowout victory against Oregon State before going on the road to finish out Nevada and San Diego State in competitive matchups. If there's any team in the Mountain West with a sense of culture and long traditions, Troy Calhoun has certainly built that up in the Falcons. Looking at this year's schedule for the Falcons, starting off their season with Bucknell, should be a decisive victory there before going on the road to take on Utah State. Utah State's still trying to figure themselves out with new head coach Bronco Mendenhall. They come back home to take on Boise State, which should be their toughest game of the season. The week after that, they do take on Hawaii at home, which I think will be another tough matchup. They go on the road, take on Navy. You're talking about 3 tough games. And then the week after that, they go on to UNLV. That may be the toughest 4-game stretch they'll see all season. They come back home, they have Wyoming. They also have Army at home. Toss-up games at this point, depending on what type of Air Force team we're going to get. They go on the road to take on San Jose State, which I feel like has had their number the past couple of seasons. They go on the road to take on UConn, who's a tough test there, mid-November. They come back home to take on New Mexico. I think they should easily get past the Lobos. I think they're still building something there with new head coach Jason Eck. They finish out the season at Colorado State, which will be a tough test depending on what type of Rams team we're getting, if they can throw the ball effectively. Looking at this schedule, I don't see too many cupcakes on there. I think every team's going to give Air Force their best game, and looking at their away schedule in particular, I mean, you got Navy on the road, UNLV, San Jose State, Colorado State to finish out your season, and in between there, you got a tough non-conference game with UConn. I feel like if they can squeeze out 2 victories on the road, that'd be a success for them. And meanwhile, at home, besides the Boise State game, I think they'd be favored at home against the rest of the teams. I know Hawaii's going to be challenging, and of course, Army's going to be their game of the year, but I could see them easily piping out another 6-6 season. I could see them getting to a bowl game. Right now, I have their floor at 3 games. I have their ceiling, as high as 9. You never know. I don't expect another 7-game losing streak from the Falcons this season. I think they're going to have it figured out. They're going to be a little more conventional. If there's any coach, not only in the Mountain West, but in the NCAA, that you would trust the process and say that they have it figured out fundamentally, you would say it's the 4th most tenured coach in Troy Calhoun, currently projected to finish 6th in the Mountain West. Caesars Sportsbook predicting over-under at 6.5 games. That feels right on par where Air Force is at. I think they do exceed expectations, and they could get as high as 4th in the conference this year. I could see them pulling off 7-8 wins easily just by playing their style of football that's worked for so long. Look out for the Falcons to make a splash in 2025 and get back to playing hard-nosed football.